when you have your first child, nothing really prepares you for that feeling, that responsibility that you're going to feel.
What's going to be at the end of the tunnel?
It's a bit dark.
It is, isn't it?
And with each month that passes, that feeling gets stronger.
Did you get wet?
I thought I was ready for the changes. I was preparing myself mentally and physically. But I also made a crucial mistake, and that was thinking that I only needed to be ready for a newborn.
Our daughter's story is 2.5 now, and she changes every day. And that means that we have to change and adapt constantly with her. And it can be hard.
So before we go on, it would help if you knew a little bit more about us. We embraced a life change about 8 years ago when we sold everything that we owned and we left for Thailand with a one-way ticket, our dog Eden, and no plan. We packed our entire lives into 2 backpacks,
Yeah.
didn't we?
And fast forward to now, we are currently living on the Silver Coast of Portugal with a toddler. And life has changed so much.
Echo!
We're the beach, Mummy.
Yeah, we're at the beach.
We're home. Splish, splash. Splash.
And people are starting to question our life choices, like when are you going to settle down, and Story needs stability in her life.
So this somehow implies that returning to the UK and taking that 9-to-5 job to pay for the mortgaged house and the financed car would somehow be guaranteeing a grounded and stable life for our child.
So here's what we've learned from doing 5 years of travel as a childless couple and almost 3 more with a toddler, a little girl, joining us on our journey. As soon as you leave your comfort zone, you come face to face with change on an almost daily basis. And to be able to survive and thrive under those circumstances, you need to be able to adapt.
we've moved houses 7 times in 8 years, haven't we? And we're okay with that. The way we make money has changed pretty much every year since we started this journey, and we're okay with that too. So when somebody asks us now, how are we going to create stability for our daughter? We needed to ask ourselves, if stability is gained by having something constant, what is the only true constant in life?
Change itself. Change is the only real constant in all aspects of life. And no matter how much we might want to deny it, everything is constantly changing. So the most stable thing we can teach ourselves is adaptability.
To be able to adapt to all of the change that life throws at us is an exceptional quality. One that we try to nurture in ourselves as much as possible. We believe that by leading with that example, those qualities will naturally rub off onto Story, the next generation.
It would have been absolutely impossible for our parents to predict the world that we live in today. It has changed so much. When we were children, there were no mobile phones, there was no internet, and so much more. It all really happened so fast, and now we can't imagine a world without them. And changes like that will be laid out ahead of us as well. And in the same way, we as parents to the new generation won't be able to predict what the world will look like for them, what life will be like in the future.
Keeping Story in a bubble during her most absorbent years will not prepare her for a life of change. We, as parents to the new generation, need to stop thinking like the old generation. By doing this, we're hurting them, and now is the best time to be planting those powerful seeds of adaptability and growth.
Through observation, our journey to this point has benefited our daughter Story, ultimately by us being present. Both parents there for her, raising a child that can be happy with less, even if she's able to have more.
Stability doesn't come from the place that you live, but rather the way that you live. We want Story to see us changing and evolving as individuals as we progress through life too.
We are trying to create a well-rounded human being, and one that absorbs the world as she travels through it.
Home is a feeling, it's not a location, and feelings and emotions are fleeting. They change, and our home will keep changing with it.
We are new parents. Story's our only child so far.
Yeah.
And there is no rule book. We're learning loads as we go along on this journey.
And even if there was a rule book, it would go out of date very quickly, especially the way the world is progressing. So we want to make sure that we have the most important qualities in us and then pass that on to our daughter as well.
So if you're about to become a parent yourself, maybe you are already one, our message ultimately is just don't be afraid to do something a little bit different.
Use the technology that we've got now that wasn't around when we were kids to build a life where you can spend more time with your kids. It's all out there for you to use, and that is definitely the best thing we've worked out for ourselves. Don't be afraid to self-teach skills too. You don't need a fancy university or a degree. These days you can make a business doing so much, and most importantly you can do it remotely so you can move around. It can be really scary, and often you don't know how things are going to turn out. If there's anything that we've learned from 8 years doing things outside of tradition, outside of the norm, is that you're never going to regret that extra time that you get to spend with your children.
Yeah.
We're going to pick plums from the tree.
We're going to make some plum jam.
We just give the big ones to the chickens now.
Yeah. There we go, chickies. And this is the plum tree. You found them?
Want to eat them?
You can eat them, yeah.
Got stone in it.
It does have a stone in it, yeah, in the middle.